Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're here today with Rick Rouse. Rick is a Lutheran pastor, professor, author, and popular conference speaker. A certified spiritual director, he has taught practical theology at both the undergraduate and graduate level and currently serves as a parish consultant. He served congregations in Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington, where he assisted with the resettlement of refugee families. He's a member of several boards and author of numerous publications, including The World is About to Turn, Mending a Nation's Broken Faith, that he co-wrote with Paul Ingram. Rick's new book is titled A Journey Called Hope, Today's Immigrant Stories in the American Dream from Chalice Press. You can learn more at chalicepress.com. So Rick, congratulations on all your work. It's great to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
So what else would you like people to know about you than what I kind of briefly touched on there?
Well, I've been a member and a pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America for 50 years. And
Whoa.
I have to say, though, that to remind people that this is the socially progressive wing of the Lutheran Church. In fact, Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz happens to be a member of one of our congregations,
Yes.
St. Paul, Minnesota. I've had 6 books published on the topics ranging from Christian discipleship to social justice issues. And as you mentioned, I've been a pastor of congregations that have helped settle refugees, starting from the post-Vietnam War to the current war in Ukraine.
Wow. Wow. That goes back a while.
Mhm.
So let's dive into the new book. As I mentioned, the title is A Journey Called Hope, Today's Immigrant Stories in the American Dream. So how did this book come about? What compelled you to write it?
Well, let me say in 2023, the UN reported that over 76 million people were displaced around the globe, 8 million by natural disasters, 68 million by conflict and violence. And this year, that number certainly is going to be higher, especially with the majority of 2 million Palestinians in Gaza who have been driven from their homes. This is the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time. And rather than working on solutions, politicians seem to be using it as a political wedge issue rather than seeking solutions. I've been disturbed by the denigrating of immigrants and refugees, calling them murderers and rapists, falsely accusing them of taking away our jobs or poisoning our culture and way of life. I wrote this book because I wanted to change the narrative and help people be more informed about this complex issue.
Well, good. It's certainly much needed. And there is an awful lot of misinformation and bad things, that are said falsely about the whole situation.
But
So I was really pleased to see that the foreword of the book was written by travel expert Rick Steves.
Mhm.
So how did that come about?
Well, Rick Steves is a good friend. In fact, I was his pastor for a number of years
Oh, goodness.
here in the Seattle area. And, Rick talks about travel as a political act, meaning that as people travel, they broaden their worldview by getting to know and appreciate other cultures and traditions. And I felt like he'd be the perfect person to write the foreword, as we both are concerned about broadening people's understanding and perspective of other peoples and other cultures.
Yeah, I mean, his exposure clearly to other peoples and other cultures is quite broad and deep. In the foreword, he says, as a privileged white male and Christian citizen in the United States, I'm needy only in the area of understanding the reality of immigrants and refugees in today's world and how that intersects with the political reality of today's America. I'm a travel writer and a tour guide, and because I know we learn more about our country by leaving it and looking at it from a distance, I'm a workaholic on a mission to equip and inspire Americans to venture beyond Orlando. That seems pretty much what you're trying to get across in this book, too.
That's right. They need to understand the reality of immigrants and refugees in today's world. That's exactly what we are trying to do. And In addition to sharing the history of immigration in this country up to the present day and all the issues around that, I wanted to share the incredible journey and sacrifice of most immigrants and refugees. And I sought to share their personal stories.
Well, I think that's what, is most compelling, that people really, when they read that, they feel it. So, I think that's a really good approach. um, how did you find these stories?
Well, I was fortunate to partner with Global Refuge, that's formerly Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, one of the oldest immigration agencies in the United States that began by resettling World War II refugees from war-torn Europe, bringing them over to America. They put me in touch with some amazing individuals from around the world that they have helped find a home here in America.
Hmm.
I was able to interview most of them in person. I was touched by their courage and also by their gratitude for the opportunities that they have been given here. How they are not only making a better life for themselves and their families, but are contributing to the health and well-being of their communities. One of my favorite stories is about a man from Liberia who had to flee with his wife from that country during the Civil War. They were eventually relocated to Montana, and he now serves as the mayor of Helena, the first African American mayor in the state of Montana.
Oh my goodness.
And he's in his second term and doing a great job.
It's a surprising place, right, for an immigrant to end up.
Absolutely. And he and his wife are winsome. She actually also is on the nursing faculty at the local university in Helena. Their kids are thriving and adults doing well. And anyway, it's great to hear stories like that, success stories of where, not only is the family thriving, but they are giving back
Sure.
ways to their community.
So you mentioned earlier, the whole immigration area has been a political football for, it seems like forever. In addition to kind of learning stories, like the ones that you wrote about, what other suggestions do you have to deal more effectively with this issue?
Well, I think we have to begin by educating both our leaders and our fellow citizens about both the truth and urgency of the immigration issue. We need to dispel the myths that demonize immigrants and refugees. First of all, data shows that very few crimes are committed by immigrants. Two, they are not taking away jobs. Most immigrants and refugees are in the service industry, construction, agriculture, where we can't find enough native laborers. And three, finally, we need more immigrants for a healthy economy because the U.S. is an aging population and our birth rates are plummeting. Should he be elected, former President Trump promises a mass roundup. He's saying of 15 million or more illegals and putting them in detention camps, then deporting them. The number is actually 7.5 million. And economists suggest that that would exacerbate labor shortages, cause economic chaos, and the American GDP could fall by 12%. Instead, I think we should work for real and practical solutions like providing a path to citizenship for some, and certainly streamlining our immigration system.
Well, I've always found it kind of interesting that a lot of people don't understand that a major contributor to the growth they see in their 401k, is driven by the United States economy. And a majority of that growth is driven by population growth. And the majority of the population growth, as you said, is increasingly from immigration. So if you want to shut down immigration and deport people, as you rightfully pointed out, the GDP is going to go down. Your value of your investments are going to go down. It's just like very simple math. So in any event, another thing, that I thought about more recently based on, several other people, their books is the impact of climate change on immigration. How do you see that?
Well, I deal with that in my book. I certainly talk about climate migrants. That climate change is making parts of the globe uninhabitable. And in fact, the UN estimates that by 2030, 700 million people will be on the move. Can you imagine
Hmm.
that just in the next 6 years, some 700 people will have to be displaced because of climate change?
Hmm. It, it astounds belief, right? I mean, how bad it could get. That's by 2030. That's not that far.
No, it's just around the corner.
Yeah, yeah. So, what would you most like people to take away from the book?
Well, first of all, that the U.S. is a nation of immigrants. Unless one is a Native American, our families came here for a better life. Some of us have been here for a number, centuries. Others have been here for a short time, but we really are all, for the most part, products of immigration. And so we need to respect the fact that we are all fellow immigrants. Second, that immigration is a source of renewal and vitality for this country. As I mentioned, we need immigrants. Um, they contribute to the economy. They contribute to the rich and diverse culture of this country. And I think third, that our diversity as a country is America's greatest strength.
Hmm. Amen. Amen. I believe that very much. So, as you know, Rick, we have quite a few authors and aspiring authors in our audience. Can you share a little bit about what your publishing journey has been like?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've worked for two publishing companies over the years, and I've been writing for, I guess, the last 15 years or so. And in both cases, I've had good editors and the support of the publisher. Um, I've been especially grateful to Chalice Press for their enthusiasm and promotion of my current work. In fact, when had just finished my last book for them, The World is About to Turn, the publisher and I were talking about, maybe a future uh, volume, a follow-up, and I just had this inspiration that I needed to write about immigration.
Hmm.
And they were very enthused about it. They said, "Well, we don't have a book about that in our wheelhouse. That'd be a great addition." And they have worked closely with me all along the way, just really enthusiastically. I know that's not always the case, but as I said, I've been really fortunate to have um, publishers and editors that have been right by my side. I've also sought out uh, other resources as I've been working. As you know, writing is a lot of work. There's a lot of research that's involved. Um, and like I said, finding partners like Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, as I did, and when I was writing about immigration, I knew I needed to talk to the experts, right? And with that particular organization, Global Refuge, I talked with the current CEO, the past couple of CEOs. I talked with staff people, and they put me in touch with immigrants. So when you do your research as a writer, make sure that you exhaust all your resources. Check not just the internet and the library and books, but find partners that you can talk with, and you'll be surprised at how many people are willing to work with you and provide information.
Isn't that the
Um,
truth of so many different things, right? I mean, partnering and collaborating is a wonderful thing.
It is. And it makes the experience so much richer. I think particularly when the global refuge folks put me in touch with some of these refugees that were open and willing to share their stories, that I felt so much more enriched and inspired myself.
Sure. So any other suggestions for new authors?
Yeah, I'd say write what you're passionate about. Find something that really is a burning issue for you. Do the work. Keep at it. Don't try not to get discouraged, especially when you have to send in numerous inquiries to publishers. You're not going to find somebody right away. And I had the first time I started when I was just trying to get my first book published, I wrote a number of inquiry letters and until I got a publisher that was really excited about my work. And but once you get published, it's a lot easier. Have a track record, and people are interested in what you might yet have to say. Also seek out the support of other writers. I'm a member of the Authors Guild. And I find that that's a great resource. They have numerous webinars. They have people that you can get in touch with, kind of mentoring. Right now they do a showcase. So they're in the process of doing a showcase of my new book to help promote each other's works. So the Authors Guild, I think, is a great resource.
Good. So I know you've been in the midst of a book launch, but is there anything about the future that you're able to talk about at this point in terms of books or other projects?
Well, I don't have a particular project in mind at this point. I'm focused on, as you said, promoting my new book. I'll be teaching some classes and leading some seminars on the topic of immigration this fall. Those are already lined up. And I've offered to any faith group that wants to do a book study of a journey called Hope that I'll be happy to Zoom in for a free session with the author.
Excellent.
So that's on my website. It's also Chalice is promoting that. And I did that with my last book, and it was really fun. I think I talked with the congregations from different denominations across the country. My first book came out during the pandemic. So Zoom was it, but I connected with probably, over a dozen or more groups. And, I decided, well, that's a great way to connect with people. And I've already had several congregations that have taken me up on my offer for my current book, and I'm hoping that others will as well.
Excellent.
And by the way, my website.
Yes. What is your website address?
It's actually the name of my previous book, theworldisabouttoturn.com.
Okay. The world is about to turn.
theworldisabouttoturn.com.
Okay.
You'll find information about my current book and other books that I've written. I have, I post various articles and other resources on that website as well. So it's a good way to, get in touch with some of the things that I'm doing and information about how to get a hold of me.
Good. Well, Rick, congratulations again on your new book, and thanks so much for joining us. Again, the title is A Journey Called Hope, Today's Immigrant Stories and the American Dream. And you can either go to chalicepress.com or theworldisabouttoturn.com. Rick, thanks again, and good luck.
Well, thanks so much, Brian. I really appreciate it. Blessings to you and to your audience. It's good to be with you.
Thanks so much.